stations are tuned into
K.L.P. Aftermath. Swanky. With your host, Kennedy Lucas. On Swanky 93.3 radio station. The Heat 94.6 radio station.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting podcast here today. We live from New York City, and I'm excited for another exciting podcast here today because this is the last hoorah. Now, if you guys don't know, for the past couple of days, we've been up here filming, and we just wrapped, and I'm going to take the headphones off because I can hear myself in the headphones. But we just wrapped up our filming for New York, right? I'm excited. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited. Welcome to the podcast. I know we've been doing kind of like little episode for our live streams and the recording part. So what the plan is with all the different podcast segments of each day that we were here, we're going to put them together into one epic podcast. But I did promise my fan base that we were going to be doing podcasting live over at the Heat Radio 1. That's the Heat 94.6 radio station. And we're here, right? We're here. And I wanted to kind of talk about the whole filming side of things. This whole trip, this whole film part has been very, very special. And I might pause because I'm getting notification that this camera is dying, which is okay, because we're just going to swap out the cameras. But I just got to tell you guys about my New York experience. Damn, I'm good. Whew, I'm good. So, like I say, we're here. The rooftops of New York City. Like I say, I promised you guys a full-fledged podcast today. And that's what I'm going to give y'all. As soon as I can get my tripod straight. All right, that's as good as it's gonna get. Normally we're in the studio, we have like our tripods and our lighting and stuff, but obviously we're not in Atlanta, we're in New York. So I gotta tell you guys about the whole film side of things. New York has been very spectacular. We've did a lot of things in the last 6 days. We filmed a lot. I'm looking at our SD cards. My hard drive have gigabytes and gigabytes of film footage of us going through the streets of New York. It has been one for the ages. It's been a great, fun trip. To film the culture style of New York, we ate a lot. I spent a lot of money, guys, on food, excursions, and let me tell y'all, if y'all ever come up here to New York, you're gonna spend some money on some subways. It's crazy that, you know, when you travel between your hotel that you're staying in to the excursion you're trying to get to, some of the excursions are like an hour walk, right? But when you get on the subway, it's like 17 minutes. So that's so weird because it's a weird dynamic here in New York. But if you are feeling fancy, I recommend you guys getting that MTA Metro subway pass. It's $33. You get it. It's unlimited rides for 7 days, for a full week, for $33, and you're able to go and get to where you need to get to. We've done a lot, right? We've done a lot. You guys seen it on our Instagram, our TikTok. We're probably going to put some things up for our website to see what's coming up next. Like I say, we're filming, right? We're filming for documentary number 2 for Amazon Prime Video, Street Style Homecoming. And I just gotta say, and I'm not just saying this just to harp up the tune of the documentary, but I feel that this documentary is going to be more impactful than the first one because we did go to fashion shows, right? We did go to restaurants and we did film, and you know, we went to all different types of excursions and places. We went to Koreatown. We might go to Chinatown tonight. We went to 5th Avenue, 3rd Avenue. We went to Rockefeller. We went to Nintendo. We went to the Apple Store. We're definitely going to go to Central Park tonight. So it's a lot of things that you guys can do up here in New York. We walked through the streets of NYU. We went to this place called the Arctic House today, and I got inspired because as you guys know, we're not only just filming a documentary, but we're in the studios today too, because I'm making 2 albums, which those 2 albums that I've made have been compressed and completed. This was a work vacation. I mean, I was on vacation, but we were up here working. You know, we've had some producers here in New York, and we chopped it up, and we've got some music down. Special Effects is the first album to come up. That's going to be actually released. It's going to be released this Saturday, believe it or not. You guys are getting the first sneak peek as we get 2 people, Elites HR Consulting and Bag TW. Hello to both of you guys on our Instagram. You're tuned into the K.L.P Aftermath podcast live from NYC. So, you know, we're filming 2 albums. You know, we're producing 2 albums. The one, Special Effects with DJ Lupizzi, that's coming out this Saturday. So stoked about that. Hopefully you guys love that little EDM album there. And then the next album is called Roosevelt. Now, it's not called Roosevelt because, you know, that's copyright claim, but Roosevelt, inspired by the Roosevelt Island. We did get some film content when we took there's this cool thing where it's like a little a cart on a string, right? You fly above the city, you fly above the bridge to get to Roosevelt Island. And I did a dedication footage for the documentary because that was how that album got inspired. Roosevelt Island is how that album, Roosevelt, came apart. On that album, we've got producers, we got rappers, we have singers, engineers, who else? Producers, writers. You know, we've got a lot of people a part of that project for Roosevelt, for Impulse Music Group and Swanky Records as well. So we've been doing a whole lot of filming and producing this week, and this trip has been very, very fun. Let me tell you why this trip has been fun too. We're able to go to different excursions. I feel like this year's trip has been very special because we came into some money, first of all, to do all the things we were able to get done and accomplished here in New York. So it's a lot. It's a lot of great things that have done for sure. The hustle and bustle of it all, people walking the streets of New York. This time around, you see a lot more students. Right? I see a lot of more students coming from NYU. They're going to class, coming from class, and seeing the hustle and bustle, and they're just so determined on things. Fashion's been interesting. It's been very, very interesting for fashion because everybody here in New York has a sense of fashion, right? Now, you're gonna have some people, some older people that don't understand fashion and don't understand people in the LGBT community. A lot of people in New York, they're not gonna understand that, right? But for people who do understand, because you guys know our producers, you know, my brother and our friends, Braxton and Shaheem, friends and producers for the documentary, they have a sense of fashion, right? And when their sense of fashion is out there, it's appreciated to a lot of people. But I'm over here to the side, you know, I got my hair cut, and I'm like, hey, what about me? Do I look good? So it's one of those funny things that it's just, you know, it's been quite exciting. We ate a lot of food. And you guys are gonna see it in the documentary. We ate a lot of food. But I can name you all the places we've been. We've been to Is a Bagel, that's around the corner. We went to Yard House, I think I mentioned that in another stream. Yard House, Dallas Barbecue, Veggie Grill, that's a good one. We've been to Wagamama. I recommend, guys, if you guys want something good to eat, kind of like an Asian Korean type cuisine, go to Wagamama. Go to Wagamama if you ever are in the facility to go out to get something to eat. Wagamama is your place to go. I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed Wagamama. We went to two art show, or museums rather. Today we went to the Arctic House. One of my favorites, again, is a digital art museum. They had this really nice, and I'm gonna take a break because I'm getting cold up here. But we went to, well, hold on, let me put my coat on. Dang, T, it's cold. So we went to the Arctic House. Is digital, is a digital arts museum, if you will. And then we went to the Museum of Illusions. Now, the Museum of Illusions is really, really good. Actually went to kind of 3 museums. I forgot. The Summit. Oh my gosh, guys, the Summit. I tell y'all, if y'all ever come to New York, go to the Summit, 1 Vanderbilt, next door to the Vanderbilt University. That is another huge college here in NYC. So 1 Vanderbilt Summit, your suspense high up in the sky. You're above the Empire State Building, you're above MetLife. From the views, you get to see the building of Comcast, NBC's Comcast, which is kind of cool today, because on the subway I did see a fella who had an NBC Today jacket, so he probably works for the Today Show. It was very, very cool to see that. But you're suspended so high up into the high up in the air, you're looking around. Now, if you are really, really afraid of heights, I wouldn't recommend going to the Summit in 1 Vanderbilt. But if you are not afraid of heights, the Summit 1 Vanderbilt is a good spot to go, because you're suspended high up in the sky. You see a lot of people there. It's like a glass, it's like a room. They have more rooms, but they have glass rooms where it's mirrors, right? When it's mirrors all around, and then they have a big window to where you get to see the nightlife. So it was very good that we went at night, because you get to see the nightlife. You get to see a lot of things. So I enjoyed that one too, but I got a little nervous because I said to my producers for our documentary, obviously, I said to them, I'm nervous, right? I'm nervous because this is how small we are. Humans are very, very small. Once you guys go up to the 1 Summit, you know we are very, very small human beings. So we're suspensed high up in the sky, and it was really, really cool. It was a cool adventure. We've got some photos. A lot of people, there's this room they have where it's kind of like balloons, right? And people kept kicking the balloons, and it says, please do not kick the balloons. So that's a very interesting thing. So then we went down to more rooms out there, and then we left in the Summit. Now let me tell you, the Summit 1 Vanderbilt, that's gonna cost you guys. So if you have 50 bucks to spare, it's a cool experience, but it's a costly experience. But I recommend the Summit for sure for New York. We did go to this one spot. I'm back onto eating. It's called the Sunflower Creamery, if I pronounce that right. Homemade New York style. It's a brunch spot, but I ordered the chicken and waffles all day. Now, it's very interesting how New Yorkers do their chicken and waffles based off Atlanta people doing their chicken and waffles, because we all know about chicken and Roscoe's, not Roscoe's, I don't know if it's called Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, but there's a lot of chicken and waffle spots there in Atlanta. But if you ever come to New York, go to the Sunflower Creamery, because that's New York style chicken and waffles. Very, very good. Let's see, what else did we go to? There are a lot of, and I say this very loosely because I'm not advocating drugs on the show, but I mean, we're in New York, it's legal. There are a lot of, that we've seen, there are a lot of dispensaries, right? To where if you're old enough, you can buy weed, you can buy marijuana, because it's legal up here in New York. So shout out to all the dispensaries. Again, I'm not advocating drugs on the show, but we're in New York, it's legal. So that's a cool experience to see. We went to Apple, guys, and you might see, we filmed Apple in the last documentary, but in this documentary we got an inside scope at the Apple store. I had my cinematographer film me going around the Apple store. They had a great event going on. That's always nice, a nice touch. Central Park. Now, even though we're going back to Central Park tonight for our last hurrah, I've been to Central Park before on the trip. I didn't have a chance to stop and really film Central Park because we were going to a casting, because we were there for 2 fashion shows, actually. But I did end up going to Central Park and to see a lot of people chilling and watching and watching people. There's men on horses that you can take a horse ride around Central Park. It's a fun experience. Again, I'm not advocating clubbing too much on the show, but there are a lot of clubs. I am comfortable to say, yes, I did go out to a couple of clubs. I'm 26, I'm a grown adult, so I am of age to go to these clubs, but those are always nice because when you're dancing, right, you're getting down, you're getting boogie, right, you're dancing, you're doing a little drinking, you know, you're dancing, you're having a great time, and you realize the different types of characters that you're going to see at these clubs. Now, I'm always going to shout out Ritz Club, right? Ritz here in New York is one of my favorite clubs to go to. I'm sure there's billions of them here in New York, but Ritz is the one that I went to the most on the trip, celebrating, and just people are just celebrating life, right? Whether they're stressed about work, they're stressed, New Yorkers might be stressed about their $4,000 rent that they have here. You know, people are stressed. They come to clubs like that to have a great time. I had a turn-up time. It was very fun. Me and my cinematographer Braxton, we were dancing. We were giving it, you know, dancing, having a great time. It was very awesome for that as well. Nintendo. We did go to Nintendo as always. Nintendo NYC is always a great store. I didn't buy anything. I know we were there for filming reasons. Really, I didn't really film. Well, I filmed, but I didn't really think about buying anything because stores like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Nintendo, they're gonna have some cool stuff, but you're gonna pay a pretty penny, right? Every video game that was there at Nintendo store was $60, regardless of if it's 10 years old, 20 years old, or just came out. These games are gonna be $60 because it's from the actual World Nintendo store in New York. But they had a lot of good things. They have a lot of things. I played game demos of Metroid Dread. I think as soon as I get home, I am going to buy the Metroid Prime Remaster because I remember playing that game when I was a kid and I didn't really understand first person because I was like 5 years old when that game came out and I didn't know too much about it. But as I became a first person player on my PlayStation 5, now I feel like, hey, I'm gonna pick this up and just try it because I don't remember the game entirely. So I think I'm gonna enjoy that. Hogwarts Legacy, that's coming up, obviously, when I get home, get back. Let's see, what else did we go? I feel like we did so much that I might be missing out on, and I hope that I'm not missing out on it. The view here is quite amazing. Very interesting, this view. This was a kind of a great choice for a hotel because, you know, you get to see a lot of great views up here in NYC. One thing I do gotta say, and this is not a bad thing on New York, right? Because this thing, I see this kind of stuff in Atlanta, and we might get a little gross, but this is a funny story that I'm going to tell you guys. Now, my shoes have been cleaned out, but I remember a couple days ago, I stepped in shit. I don't know if it was dog shit or human shit, but I stepped on shit. I stepped in it. So, if you ever come to New York, guys, be careful of where you step, right? There's some of the roads, some of the sidewalks have shit on it, right? It either is human shit that, you know, homeless people, they gotta go, they squat, they let it rip, right? Or you have a New Yorker that's walking their dog and the dog's taking a shit on the sidewalk and not picking the shit up. So I stepped in it. It didn't smear my shoes, but I stepped in it, and Braxton, he was like, hey, watch out, kid. No! And I stepped right into it. I'm like, yeah, I stepped in shit. So, very interesting. So, like I say, we filmed a lot. We filmed a whole heck of a lot of great stuff. This is a trip that I recommend you guys going. Now, did I meet any celebrities on this trip? No. We did pass the Madison Square Garden. I saw the Madison Square Garden for the first time. That was very fun. Where the Knicks play, and a lot of events happen at the Garden. We did walk by. It was a hotel, and a group of people, what looked like paparazzi, was waiting outside. So maybe a famous celebrity came out because we walked away because we had to get to where we needed to get to. And as soon as somebody, whoever it is, stepped out of the hotel, you hear a lot of cameras shuddering and you hear people cheering. So it's probably somebody famous that stayed at that hotel that we walked by. But if you're lucky, you can catch celebrities, right? Because there's a lot of celebrities. A lot of celebrities came for New York Fashion Week, right? The Atlanta Fashion House has been fantastic. As this camera might die, but you know, Atlanta Fashion House was good. It was more of a fashion house than an actual runway show, but we got to see a lot of great models and the designer, so that's going to be in the documentary as well. I'm stoked about getting that together. That was different. That was a great show. I met up with a lot of people, a lot of networking, and you know, who knows, we might return back to September's Fashion Week. We don't know, but we met a lot. We met a lot of people. It's been a very, very fun experience. Trying to make sure I give you guys everything that I can about New York. You got to take a New York trip. I'm always going to say that you got to take a New York trip if you can. It's expensive. You're gonna spend some money, but it's a New York trip. I'm always gonna advocate everybody, if you haven't been to New York, go to New York. Just try it out, experience it, because it's one of those things. I had a lot of my friends that I went to college with, they ended up coming to New York as well. So I don't know if some of the friends I saw on Instagram that they were here for New York Fashion Week or not, but a lot of people were here, right? A lot of people were here at New York, celebrating, probably going out, probably just wanted to see the city for the first time. Yeah, it's been smooth. It's been very smooth. Getting to New York has been a bumpy ride, though. I'm gonna tell you all about that. Getting to New York was tough because when we were at Hartsfield Jackson, they switched our gate, so we had to rush to our gate to make it to our flight on time. I had to spend an extra 50 bucks for my luggage because my luggage was 8 pounds over with my clothes and the equipment. So that was a whole nother experience. And then we were waiting in line for about an hour. So I always say, if you're catching a flight, get there 2 hours before your flight, because you never know what's gonna happen. But it has been bumpy roads getting up there, and then we found out about the hotel incidentals. We didn't know about that. Well, we knew about that, but it was more than what we thought. So getting here was a little bit bumpy, right? It's every trip, when you go to a trip, it gets a little bumpy, right? You never know when people are going to, you know, things happen, right? Things do happen. So but it's interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic for sure, seeing where people work and whatnot. Speaking of where we work, a lot of museums that we went to, I was able to get in as a student discount. Thankful for the institution that I work at. Can't mention the name anymore, but we worked for the institution. And I was waiting. I get nervous to podcast in front of people. But we're not in our studio. We're out in the open. So, I mean, it's free game for a lot of people. Let's see. What else did we do in New York this week? Oh, happy Valentine's Day. I almost forgot, y'all. Happy Valentine's Day. If you gotta love, and that's the one thing I saw today too. A lot of people buying flowers. Like, everybody have a bouquet of flowers. They probably bought it for 10 bucks at the bodega. But again, shout out to my sister D'Amber. If you were in Savannah, shameless plug, order from Floral Haven XO, by the way. Order from her if you want some good quality flowers. Again, unfortunately, New York people, y'all can't get these flowers. But if you're in the Savannah, Georgia area, order your flowers. But I saw a lot of bouquet of flowers, and I'm like, those are nice. They might die tomorrow, right? Very, very nice. I didn't see it, and thank God, because last year we didn't film it, but last year I remember coming from somewhere. We had dinner. It was late at night. We had dinner. We didn't go out, but we had dinner, and somebody was walking towards the stairs or towards a trash can, and he said, like a waterfall. And I saw it grossed me out. Luckily, I didn't see that this year's trip, but last year's New York trip I did. Somebody got roaring drunk. Times Square. We did go to Times Square. As always, Times Square is amazing. There's a lot of people, a lot of famous people in Times Square. Chris Bivens, he's a famous producer and cinematographer. He was in New York because it was his birthday. Happy birthday to him. I doubt he knows who we are, but happy birthday again to Chris Bivens. Again, I follow him on Instagram because um, he's a famous cinematographer and producer. He does a lot of work, and he is his birthday. He was right in Times Square, and I guess one of his friends had bought a billboard for him, and they took a picture. He was right there in Times Square. That was cool. Um, we kind of met, but we didn't really meet. My brother had this casting. We did get to go to Denzel Dion's casting for his show right here in New York. That was fun. That was very fun to see the models, and you guys are going to see it. You guys are going to see in the documentary of the models that we've gotten for Denzel Dion's fashion show. A lot of people try it out. You see a lot of personalities, a lot of fashion moguls, a lot of influencers tried out for that. So that's always quite exciting to see. So along with the two castings, I've been to two castings this trip, so it was very successful. Um, Guys, I had McDonald's for the first time. I did. I had McDonald's for the first time. Now, I always harp on people about not wanting to eat McDonald's, right? You're never gonna catch me eating McDonald's, right? I'm never gonna eat McDonald's as much because it's kind of unhealthy for you, right? I don't eat it every day, right? And the last time I had McDonald's was last year's trip when I was hungry. Sorry, somebody on the phone. Uh, uh, I was hungry last trip and we just stopped by McDonald's. Now, I ate McDonald's today for lunch because I'm walking trying to find the Starbucks. I couldn't find the Starbucks. So McDonald's was right there. And I said, damn, McDonald's looking real good right now. So I went in there and I ordered McDonald's. And it's one of those things that I didn't film it because I filmed it last year, but it's a cool dynamic in New York with McDonald's. Excuse me. They have this kiosk or this touchscreen rather, where you have to order your food from the touchscreen. You get your receipt, and then you wait until your order is called. The interaction doesn't exist anymore in New York, like for those type of restaurants, right? If you go to, let's say again, McDonald's, there's a three large screens. It's a touch screen where you touch it, right? You touch it, you press it, you order what you want, and then the people that's making it, they call your number out, you get it. That's it. The craziest thing ever. That's something you don't see in Atlanta. You don't see that in Atlanta. You don't. Um, what else that you don't see in Atlanta? The views. You don't see the big views like that in Atlanta. Um, you do see the kind of the college vibe. Going back to me going to Roosevelt Island, there is Cornell that's in Roosevelt Island. A lot of is a Cornell Technical College, and that is a school that's nearby on Roosevelt Island that a lot of people did. There, we went by the pier and we got pictures of the bridge and the city. That was always nice. We got the same. We didn't get the same photo, but we got kind of the same view as we did last year, but different. Um, what else did we see? Gosh, I feel like this trip went by so fast. Yeah, I think that's all that we saw. Yeah, that's all we saw. We've had a great trip, guys. Um, but before we wrap up this podcast, because I'm getting text, we're getting ready to go out to eat. Um, like I say to a lot of people, New York is a place to be. It may not be suitable for a lot of people to live. I know we've talked. I don't think I'm ready to move to New York because a lot of people pay a lot of money in rent. But New York is a spot that I recommend a lot of people going if you want a good trip. We've been to a lot of things. We've seen a lot of things this year. This documentary is going to be out later summer, maybe fall. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited for this documentary. I'm excited for you guys to watch the documentary once we're done. We edit. With one of the festival castings, the networks that I made, they was like, "Hey, so when is this documentary going to be out?" Well, I'm filming right now in New York, so it's going to take a couple months for me to put it together. But once we are done, you guys are going to tell this documentary is going to be different from the first one that we did, because of the shots we've got in New York, the places we went in New York for this year has been impactful. And I want to thank everybody that made this thing happen, down to our producers, down to finances, down to my friends. Special shout out to all four of my friends. One, my brother, being my producer and brother, Ryan, Shaheem. Shout out to Braxton, especially because Braxton Perry is my head cinematographer for the documentary. So he made that thing happen as well. Shout out to the people of New York in general. It has been a journey. I've had so much fun during my travels here in New York. It's been very, very impactful. Um, and cheers to K.L.P Entertainment. Cheers to Kennedy Lucas Films. I hope y'all have been enjoying the social media. Today is officially the last day of us filming, really, because we ship out tomorrow back to Atlanta, back to the real world. But I thank you guys. I thank everybody. I'm very thankful. And thank you. Just the city of New York has been wonders for us as well. So like I say, here's to Street Style Homecoming. It's coming out later this summer, maybe fall, and we're ready for a lot of great things. So that's going to wrap it up here in our podcast here today. K.L.P Aftermath Season 5, live from New York City. Again, I want to thank you guys that tuned in for the live stream, and then when we edit for the on-demand version of the podcast, hopefully you guys enjoy the show as well. Until then, live from New York, I've been your host, K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. As always, I like to say, stay safe, stay swanky.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet.
You are now tuned in to Atlanta's hottest radio show.
Even the other stations are tuned in too.
K.L.P Aftermath. Swanky. With your host, Kennedy Lucas. On Swanky 93.3 radio station. The Heat 94.6 radio station.